Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video, and today I'll be doing a review of a server that was once called Pandashan. A server that was known for being chock full of bugs and also having a pretty nice community. It's been a while since I checked out that server, and I noticed that a lot of things have changed. For instance, they now fly under the banner Firestorm, and they totally revamped their website, their launcher and whatnot. And that did get me intrigued to check in on my old account and see if anything in terms of the game has changed. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? Firestorm's Garage server is a 5x raid Mr. Pandaria server where they are now up to Siege of Orgrimmar regarding progression. They have a cash shop for both vanity items and actual gear. I know a lot of people are already put off by this server and I don't exactly blame you. And they have features such as cross-faction enabled, so when you group up you'll most likely be teamed up with people from the other faction. Alright, now in order to make it fair, I decided to make a new character here and level all the way to level 90. So when it comes to leveling, this server is an absolute mess. I thought vanilla gaming was bad, but at least on vanilla gaming I was able to complete at least 95% of the quests there. Here, it's a complete guessing game. I had quests that were insta-complete, quests that I wasn't able to take on at all, quests where I had the objectives complete but I still wasn't able to turn them in. It wasn't an enjoyable experience at all, and because of the vast amount of wonky quests, I was forced to stick with generic killing quests just so I knew for sure that I was able to complete those. I have to say that the Mr. Pandaria leveling quests were a bit better, and it seems to be one of those servers that really puts the focus on the expansions content and leave the rest to be a bit of a mess. Anyway, I thought it was funny to see an NPC right at the starting zone where you can select your XP rate to be either 1x rate, 3x rate or the normal 5x rate, because I can't think of anyone who wants to level all the way from 1 to 90 here with the 1x rate, with the huge amount of bugged quests. I'd imagine it being a complete nightmare. So regarding the leveling content, it's bad. Really bad. And it pales in comparison to Towery WoW or even WoW Freak, so we're not off to a good start. So after getting to level 90 on my shaman, it was time for some dungeons, and once again the server just never ceases to amaze me, cause here's the way dungeons work on Firestorm. You queue up for the dungeon finder, and hope to god that when it pops there's not some retard who's AFK. You rush to the first boss, ignoring all the ads, and then nuke it down, and then everyone leaves the dungeon. That's right. Doing dungeons here basically equates to just doing the first boss of each dungeon, and there you go. You get your valor points, your justice points, and above all, no dungeon deserter. I'm not joking. This is how things go here on Firestorm, and I remember spamming dungeons like this a couple of years ago and basically cheesing the PvE content just to get justice and valor points as fast as possible. And you think they would crack down on this, but no, it's still here years later. So in other words, if you're someone who actually likes to run the entire dungeon, cause, I don't know, it's fun, then don't bother playing here. And just like the leveling content, it's completely off of what it should be, you know, Blizz-like, and it totally breaks immersion. So let's move on to PvP. Surely this should work, right? I mean, battlegrounds like Warsong Gulch are fairly easy to script, so this should be good, right? Well, to be honest, this is a step up from the leveling and dungeon content. Even battlegrounds like AV work as intended with capping and destroying towers and killing the enemy general, and it is worth mentioning that it takes me very little time to find a battleground, so you won't spend a whole lot of time in the queue. The only problem I encountered here was the problem many private servers have, which is not being able to balance battlegrounds in terms of gear, creating this huge imbalance, and when you're new to PvP yourself, prepare to get your ass handed to you just because of the huge difference in gear. Matter of fact, you're much better off doing PvP dailies on the Isle of Thunder, gather honor points, get some PvP items and then join battlegrounds, so you'll at least be able to compete with other players. So, time for a new category in my reviews, which is dailies. Now ever since Cataclysm, they really started to focus on max level daily quests, hence why I decided to talk about them a little bit. Just like the leveling content, they're a hit and miss situation. The quests on the Isle of Thunder you can do are, as far as I know, working decent, but there are some that just leave me scratching my head. For breaking down the defenses, you can just spam click the same perimeter over and over again. Overpowered and disarming irony are instant complete. In order to free these prisoners, you need to slaughter them. It's once again a bit of a clusterfuck and anything but bliss-like. Also, the progression through the different phases on the Isle doesn't work as well. So one more thing I want to cover in the dailies category is the Timeless Isle, since this was a pretty big thing in Mists of Pandaria. All the mobs here seem to work okay and items were dropping accordingly, but again, some of the quests here are just flat out broken. There should be a quest chain where you have to use the Vision of Time in several locations, but here on Firestorm you can take all of the quests at once, and as soon as you go to just one location and use the item, all of the quests regarding that quest line are now complete. In other words, it only takes you 2 minutes to get your hands on like 7,000 timeless coins. So, in summary, the daily quest content is a mess. Many things are broken and I really have to search high and low to find anything that is good about the content so far. Well then, things aren't exactly looking good for Firestorm's Mists of Pandaria server, but maybe they can redeem themselves with the raiding content here. I mean, maybe it's just like vanilla gaming where the main focus went into the raiding content. And honestly, the raid content is better compared to the other PvE content I've seen, but that's not saying a lot. During some of the raids I attended, I saw wonky pathfinding, some bosses not working correctly, animations being off, and more importantly, some bosses not working altogether. For example, Heart of Fear knows 6 bosses, and unfortunately the last 2 bosses don't seem to work. And I don't mean you have to cheese the fight or anything like that, I'm saying you can't do them at all, meaning a third of the bosses in that raid are not doable. If you ask me, stuff like that is just unacceptable. I can somewhat understand if random quests in leveling content are not working, but a third of the content missing in a major raid? Just what the hell? It just blows my mind to see something like this in today's world of private server, where the overall quality is miles better compared to what I see here. It almost makes you wonder why on earth people are still playing here. So then we arrive at the last topic, the community. Now, I always said that the old Pandashan server was a buggy mess, but it did have a good community, which is something I definitely praised them for. Is that still the same? Well, unfortunately not. I'd like to say that during my time doing dungeons and PvP, I at least had some fun with the people, but I didn't. Many times in dungeons, people either started speaking Spanish out of nowhere or didn't say anything at all. There was also a huge amount of plain incompetent people that don't pay attention, don't do their job, and just let people die without doing anything to help other party members. PvP was a little better, but overall, my encounters with people were just terrible. They either didn't say anything, started speaking Spanish out of nowhere, and trust me, the server has been overrun by Spanish people, so be ready to see that language a lot on Firestorm, or just pretended to be AFK. The only redeeming thing I could think about was the people I met during the raids. At least those people were competent, wanted to have a quick chat, and most of all actually spoke English. Other than those few raids, I honestly have to say that the community here is anything but appealing, and I've seen so many servers out there with a much better community. Well, here we are at the conclusion. As you might have figured out, I'm not exactly positive about the server. I really had to search high and low to find a few things that I thought were decent, and those few things are just overshadowed by the huge amount of bugs, content not working, the sudden lag spikes, server disconnects, and the poor community. How a server like this manages to survive and have a steady population in this day and age just blows my mind. But it's here, and it's called Firestorm. If you'd like to join a Mists of Pandaria private server, then please look for an alternative, cause there's better ones out there. If you're looking for a high rate one, check out WoW Freaks, and if you're looking for a more Blizz-like one, by all means check out Tauri WoW. No, Firestorm was terrible when I first tried it out, and it hasn't gotten any better. If you ask me, I'd say avoid it like the plague. And that's gonna do it for today. As always, I want to thank you for watching this video. I'm Hamsterwheel, and have a good one.